Guess everybody speak, so it works, huh?
Yes,
I have agendas here.
I don't have one.
I'll share one with you.
Well, there's more.
No.
4.
Thank you.
Sir.
Just.
Okay.
It's at,
Look at the last 4 of my phone number, so everybody has a different password.
you can change it. Yes.
It's on.
So I don't care.
No, I'm saying once you do it, you know, you can change it once
Okay.
you go in, but that's why it is.
Oh, okay, great.
Good
Thank you.
morning, Jan.
Am I supposed to pass these down?
Okay. Yeah, they got it sitting up here in the seats, which is.
Would you call these nosebleed seats?
Okay, I'm gonna put you on speaker, okay?
All right.
Okay, can you hear
Okay.
I'm gonna put one of these down
Yeah,
here,
I
I
can
guess. Is that okay?
Everybody's here. Jan's here.
So that's
Okay.
on.
Yeah, really.
Recorder's going.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We're all here. Okay, it's 7:30. Meeting to order. And ask, Jerry, would you lead us in the pledge of allegiance?
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And because we are recording for the minutes at this time, would everyone please state their name that are here? Arden, would you start?
Arden Weatherford.
Tony Perry. Rusty Neal.
Mary Jo Larson.
Jerry Good.
Elborn.
John Gamelke.
Elijah Murphy.
Jan Wilson.
Dan's here too, in case the recorder didn't hear that. Do we have any additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda? I have one. I received an email from Mike Williams that he'll not be here this morning to make a presentation, so we'll take him off of the agenda. And I would like to add, oh, I can do that in general discussion. Is there any other corrections to the minutes or to the agenda? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to approve this agenda?
So moved.
Second? Jerry seconds it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, we'll move on. CK, I don't see him here today.
Mary Jo,
For a development.
we might
Yes.
report back to the board. As directed at the last meeting, I was directed to get in contact with Mr. Patel.
Mhm.
I did. Tony Perry accompanied me in that meeting also. So we did give him the application for TIF,
Mhm.
and he has that.
Okay,
And then we talked quite at length. We spent quite a bit of time. So Tony and I kind of expressed what some of our philosophies were, so that he has an awareness of what this is about. Also, a little bit about Woodland Park. And we emphasized that there is no guarantee.
good.
Tony, did I miss anything in the synopsis?
Okay. Well, I'm glad you talked to him and they're definitely interested in this project. Correct.
We met with
Good.
both him and his wife, and was, a very comfortable, informative meeting, I thought.
Good.
Very delightful people.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Well, that's an update on our developer. And we'll just move right on to seeking applicants. We just received a new one. That goes with Mike Williams and he's not here. I made some copies if we can kind of share. Arlene, Tony, could you share that one? Here's 3 more. This is Pamela, and we also received one from Rebecca Allen. But Rebecca Allen, and I'll let you read this as well. I didn't get copies of it, but she's basically a grant writer, and I'm very impressed with her resume for grant writing, which I think we should keep her close to the group for that reason. But I'm not sure about her qualification or her, if she's the best for our secretarial work. I'll start this way. You can review her application, and we just got another one this morning, and again, I don't have copies of it because we just received it. I'll start it this way and you can look at it. And I also have copies of the development, the job description of what she'll be doing. So do you need a couple copies of that?
Are we all going to get a copy of the different applicants if we're voting on it? Or are we not
Well, I don't
voting
know
on
if
it?
we're gonna vote on them. I think we're gonna talk about them today, because I haven't talked with Pamela or Rebecca, and now was it Melissa? And I'll see if they would be available to come to our next meeting for interviews
Is there a cutoff date for applications?
till it's filled.
Mary Jo, are there 2 more for Melissa? Resumes?
Melissa, they just brought that to me, so
Oh.
there's only one.
Oh, you only have 1.
Yeah, so if you
Oh.
can look at it a little bit and then pass it on.
Oh, I see.
Because I just got it.
Oh, I
Didn't get a
see.
chance to make copies of it. And I think I would say with these applications, I think that they should come and let us interview them. Make sure that they want to be part of this. Do you agree, comment, John?
Doesn't it make it a bit confusing if it's an open process all the way till the end? So then when we're interviewing people, 2 more, 3 more, or 1 more could show up, and then doesn't that add to it? Shouldn't there be a possible, like, this is the
That's
cutoff
board's
time?
decision. They decided before to just keep it open until we hired someone. So if the board wants to set a cutoff date today, that's fine too.
What-
Comment on it.
Where are the, where is the job posting? Where is it posted at?
Is it Emily? No, who is posting? it? Who? Amy. Amy is posting this through the city. However you post for job openings. Where is that, Suzanne?
Let me get confirmation.
I was gonna say, if we could get Suzanne to maybe,
We'll get confirmation from Amy where she's posted it. I know for sure city website, I'm not sure where else.
and does it have a cutoff date, Suzanne?
I
No.
think it says until filled.
Until
Just
filled.
that's what it said.
Okay.
I was just wanting to let you know that.
That's the deadline.
That's the-
Well, I guess, would it make sense to, if we table a vote until the next DDA meeting, we could post it with a deadline of the day prior so that we would have a chance to get the last minute applications and make a copy, send it out, so we all at least have a
That's up
chance.
to the board. Is that good for you? You want to do that?
Some cutoff date would be, I think, in line.
So then our cutoff. Tony?
Well, I guess I would like to start to understand, is this a city position technically hired through the city for the DDA?
No,
No?
It's a contract position
Okay,
between the DDA and the individual.
okay. I guess the only thing I would say is I think, from my perspective, we should set a deadline for applications and in my opinion, have two persons from this committee do the interview processes and then report to the board. I don't know. I think everyone up here is capable of doing an interview process, and I think choosing two to do it would be more professional, or would seem more professional to me.
Excuse me. There you go.
Jerry?
Now, in the past, we've brought people in and they've talked to, in an open forum, to the whole board. And then as a board in private, we vote. I would feel comfortable with that, the whole board interviewing them rather than just two. I think that if we have everybody here that wants to apply, they don't show up, then they forfeit the application.
That's kind of what we did with Corey too.
Yeah.
Personally, I think it's important that they see all of us and meet all of us and make sure they want to work with us. Murph?
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that acceptance of applications be closed on the 20th of August, which would give us approximately a little over 2 weeks to review applications. We could get all those out and review them, and then at the next meeting on the, I guess that would be the 7th of September, we bring the applicants forward to be interviewed by the DDA and TOTA.
And should they have to be here to be considered an applicant, correct? They should be here in person.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Do I hear a second?
I second that.
Okay, John seconds. Any more discussion on that? Any discussion on here? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, hearing none, then deadline for advertising will be August 20th, and we will interview on September 7th.
Sorry.
Sorry. How, thank you for, you just got this new application in. That's a surprise. That's good. How long has it been advertised? 3 weeks, 4 weeks?
I believe it's been, I can look at the exact date I posted it, but I think it's close to 4 weeks.
Okay. And where are you posting it?
So it is on our website, so the city's website.
Mhm.
It's on Facebook and LinkedIn.
Okay,
Oh, good.
good,
Thank you.
that's good. That's a good.
The other question they had was, can you describe the position? Is it a city position, contract position? How does that work?
So the way it was set up last time is an independent contractor. So they actually signed a contract with the DDA. They provided all of their own equipment. So it truly was an independent contractor is how it was set up last time. So not an employee. They kind of set their own hours. I know they did set up for the meetings, did all of that for you, did the minutes. But it is an independent contractor position.
And I think that they notified all of the board members of meetings, of activities, whatever is going on. They were the ones that notified
Correct.
and posted the,
Posted the meetings. Yes. Mhm.
okay. Any other questions from the board?
Madam Chair,
Yes,
can you please tell HR that, because you just made a change to her, the announcement, so she has to make
Oh,
that change. You just voted on.
we just voted on the deadline date of August 20th.
Perfect. I'll put that on the posting.
Yes.
And I'll actually appear at the top, and then I'll make sure it closes. Normally those close at 11:59 PM on that day.
Okay.
If that works for you, if you want a different time, I can set it for a different time.
No,
No, that's.
okay. I will contact all three of these applicants and make sure they're still interested and tell them that that's the deadline date and that we will make that decision in September.
I believe we also need to, seeing as we want to be fair about this, post on there that the
applicants must be present at the 7 September meeting for
Okay.
interview.
Yeah.
That'd be good to post that too. I will also tell them that when I talk to them. But I'll make contact. Okay. And those, keep looking at those applications, but if I could make sure I get them back.
We'll make some copies of.
Shouldn't we all have a copy of the application?
I think so.
Well, we
think
think
so.
so. So will that happen?
So I'll go to the city after the meeting's over, and if you hang around, I'll ask if they will make us some copies.
Okay.
They did a Pamela's. And I don't know of the other two.
Madam Chairperson, can I ask, so normally an interview for the city, I will put together the questions you'd like to ask the applicants,
Uh-huh.
because every applicant should be asked the exact same question. So I would be happy to do that for you if everyone would like to get me their questions. I may need to do a little finessing sometimes to make sure that they're asked correctly. But I would be happy to do that for you so that it is fair and across the board for all applicants.
That would be a great help. We
Thank
would
you.
Really
Yeah.
appreciate you doing that. Thank you so much.
You bet.
So, board, if you have any questions, what is your
I just have one.
contact for her?
Yes. Would you post a job listing for my business? Because I'm not having success getting the applicants. And you seem to know what you're doing.
Have you seen the city appointed board?
I'm trying
That's
real
right.
hard right now.
Okay, Amy, or what is your phone number that the board can get a hold of you with for questions?
You bet. So my desk phone is 719-687-5223. You can also email me if you need to. It's just Jacob, Jacob. No S on the end of that one, at
Okay.
city-woodlandpark.org. Either way.
Did you all get that? All right. Well, that would be great if you would do that. We really appreciate it.
No problem.
Okay. And I will get copies made of these, the new applicant and Rebecca.
Well, I do have a question then for HR. Normally an interview is a pretty free flowing event versus when you're in a public forum and you have canned questions. I assume we give canned questions, but then they could lead to follow-up boring down into their answers or responses, correct?
Technically, if you ask a follow-up question of one applicant, you need to ask the same question of all applicants.
So a follow-up question to all applicants.
Yep, so it would be that exact same question. So if they said, I have 5 years of experience as an administrative assistant, and you asked, can you tell me each position you held? Then you would ask each applicant what positions they held, if that was the follow-up question. So it should be the exact same question, follow-up question to each applicant.
And if their response has a unique response that triggers a third iteration, you still don't need to ask that of everybody.
Technically, you should.
Yes. Yes. Okay,
I have all the fun answers, council member.
thank you.
And council, Madam Chairperson, if you would like, what I normally do is I'll print off all the applications and resumes and put up the questions, and I hand a packet to each member.
Oh, that would be
If you would
great.
like me to do that, I'm happy to do that for you also.
That would be great. Could you do that prior to
Absolutely.
the August? Okay. That would be great. Okay. We go to part-time executive director. We need to have some discussion about that. We do have a development that is coming. We do have our attorney that has done the contracts in the past, so we do have that already in place, but we do not have an executive director. I want to know your feelings on that.
Well, as a
You've got your
liaison
hand up for-
as liaison with
Yes,
city.
Dusty?
yeah.
Okay.
by the Colorado revised statute, we need to have the governing bodies okay. So how are we going to work that in? How is that process going to?
Well, having an executive director fills that statute requirement.
But to do that, for the DDA to do that,
Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. So do you guys want to advertise the position? How part-time do we want it? Do we want to wait till we're further in the development? How, I want some discussion on that.
well, I'm not sure you understand my question though, Madam Chair.
Okay.
By the CRS, we can't hire, the DDA cannot hire without the governing body, that's the city council's permission. So at what point in the process are we going to go back to the city council and request permission to do that?
I'm not sure, that's another contract job. Sally, can you help out here? I don't know. Kelly?
I just like to object. I think the piece that's missing. The piece that's missing in Rusty's suggestion is that it's the person that's been selected by the DDA that must be approved by the and ratified by the city council, similar to what we've just done recently with our police chief and with when we did the finance director. The statute requires that we approve the individual that's selected by the board.
So my question again, do we want to advertise this position?
Well, I'm just curious, we've operated for 5 or 6 years without an executive director. Why the impetus now?
Pressure from city council. Robert?
Where did that pressure from city council come from?
Actually, the comments and suggestions are from Paul Benedetti, the DDA attorney.
Thank you.
We're running fine with that one. Do we want to keep going for a month or two? And see how it goes? What about down here? Do you guys want, can we run for a month or two and not worry about it till we get something more concrete from our developer?
Yeah.
Is that good for you guys?
That's
Is a
what I would prefer.
consensus-
Yeah.
Will a
Makes sense.
consensus work on this, or do we need to have a vote?
Can we get Robert's input?
Yes, Robert?
I'm sorry, I only gave you part of the answer on that. His reasoning for his concern for needing an executive director is that the liability on all of the decisions you make are landing on your personal capacity as volunteers. And you might like to check with him, but it seems to me you've got a liability exposure.
Okay, we'll follow through with that then. Make sure of that, Tony.
Yeah, I would just, I guess I would like to hear from the attorney on that point, as we've, again, operated without an executive director for years, so the liability hasn't changed. So I would argue that we stay the course for now until we get better insight from legal, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same on this side.
Might suggest everybody get a personal liability policy. A severe one. Okay, it's about $800 a year for a $2 million liability policy. Okay, because you can be held severally liable, meaning personally. Okay, for decisions made by this board. And with an executive director, that might help curtail some of that.
Okay, I'm understanding here. I'm feeling like we need to have a.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I just want the board to recognize that they are, each one of you individually are covered by CIRSA.
Yes.
As long as any act that you make is not willful and wanton, you are covered by CIRSA's
thank
policy.
you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Suzanne.
That's good to know.
Yes. Okay, then we'll just move on as a consensus that we'll check with the attorney how important this is. And then when we really need one, then we'll try to find it. Okay. Can we get a collection of the CO forms for Murph? Those are the,
They're actually for
Oh.
Mr. Gamalki, the secretary to file.
okay.
I have 2 of them so far.
Okay.
Anybody else have them?
You
I
all
need
bring
I
yours.
need a blank. one.
They were passed out the last meeting.
I turned mine in.
I think
Who'd you turn it
Elijah's
into?
got a blank one coming.
Mary
Here's
Jo,
the
I have a
ones.
question.
Yes.
Conflict of interest.
It's the one we sign every year. Murph, you had the, what does it say on it?
It's coming around.
What's COI stand for?
Conflict of interest, COI.
It's a disclosure of financial interest form is what it is. So,
Who has? the
so I
signed
don't,
one?
so can I get them, please? The
Yes.
people that have done them?
Who hasn't done one?
I have a question.
Arden, did you do one?
Not yet.
Okay, here's another.
I signing
Tony, you
this
handed yours in. Okay,
without,
I got one.
if I feel I have no conflict of interest, I just sign it. Because is it asking for specific examples?
Jerry, if you can speak into your microphone, please. Thank you.
I don't believe
hear me?
that we filled all of this out. I think we just signed it as we do not feel we have a conflict of interest at this point.
Yeah, so just NA. on there.
Now, the big one, I would like to propose that we schedule a workshop for all of us. That isn't such a formal meeting that we can talk. We need to discuss and look at the bylaws so that everyone understands them, see if they need to be updated or revised in any way. Our foundation plan is still pretty solid. Even our foundation plan is still pretty solid. I don't think you can read that, but I don't think you need to address it. And that there's several things we need to talk about. Where we stand for the new members financially, where our TIF reimbursements are coming from and going. I think that just an informational one. And I would like to have some input on something that you all would like to talk about in a workshop session. Tony, you got something you'd like to discuss other than that?
Yeah, I can provide a list. To me, it's more about making sure that we understand the logistics. You know, for instance, CIRSA does cover us as a board, similar to D&O insurance in the private world. So logistics like, I don't want to use my personal or bank email for business with the DDA, and we still haven't been issued an email account. I would like to argue that.
Actually, Murphy's has them today, just
You know,
since
pass that one
you,
down.
since you just mentioned it. He gave me one. He does have those hard.
Well, I would like to argue that we,
And would I use my city?
Yes, or
council?
that way it precludes you having to have 2 email accounts to bounce back and forth. They're all open to the public anyway, so.
Okay, so we still don't have phone numbers on there.
Well, I'm figuring if anybody wants anybody's phone number, they're more than welcome to ask for it.
Okay,
Phones work 2 ways.
well, let's just go through and if you want to put phone numbers behind here, you can, but I'd like to do that. Al, what's your phone number?
719-200-5837.
Could I have the last 4 again, please? Al?
Arden,
719-243-4433.
Murph,
719-351-5750.
Don,
719-651-4176.
Jerry,
719-641-9968.
Jan,
Jan?
Jan, your phone number?
719-660-7510.
And mine is 719-310-2982. Tony,
719-433-4055.
and Rusty.
703-405-4308.
Okay, so now we all have the phone numbers here. We have a DDA account. We need to make sure that all the new members are on that DDA account. Bert, can you answer that question if they are or not?
Everybody's been updated and they are on the DDA account. The website is .easy.com. HTTP .easy DOTEASY.com is the email site.
Okay.
After you log in your initial time, you can change your password.
Okay. Say it again, .easy.
.com.
.com. Okay. All right, now we need to set a date for that workshop. I know it's summer and I know we're all busy. Would 2 weeks be too soon to have a workshop and do it at 7:30 to 9? And not have a meeting, just have a workshop? Would that work?
And this is for the bylaws.
Well, it's for whatever we come up with that we want to talk about in the workshop. We're starting out with the bylaws and an update on our financial, how our TIF is working, and where we are on the TIFs that are still out.
And that would be, you and I had coffee and we spoke about a joint workshop with the city council so we could better
So we
work
could
together.
talk about that too if we want to.
So that would be a
We could add
different,
that to it.
or a different workshop. Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
should be a different workshop.
thank you.
And you're proposing August 17th,
Mhm.
7:30 here. Okay, that's what
Does that sound like it would work for you guys? Boy, when we're on camera, nobody talks. Okay, 7:30. 7:30. 9. Okay, we'll clear that, and we'll talk about bylaws. Yes,
Reminder that you need to get that agenda to us, either Suzanne or myself, so we can post the meeting
okay.
and be prepared to have an open meeting.
Have to make sure this room is available.
Right, it's a Tuesday morning, we usually have it, but I don't know, we've got to check in on that. If it doesn't work, we'll set an alternate date.
Is that my job to check on that, or whose job is that? Does that fall under me? Do I need to follow up on that?
We'll check on it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And Sally, let me know, and then John and I will make sure everybody else knows. All right. So we're gonna discuss bylaws, financials. / TIF. What else would you like to talk about?
Do we want to invite Mr. Benedetti?
No, I don't think so.
So where are we going to seek this legal advice that everybody's asking about the executive director, et cetera, and also fully understanding the implications and the legalities of serving on a DDA?
I think that I would like to call him and ask him if he could stand by as we have that workshop. If it really gets deep into that, that we can call him.
Okay.
Does that sound good to everybody else? I mean, we don't need him driving down here. We're talking through the whole meeting because it's kind of expensive.
Yeah, but
So if he's on hand, then we can call. if we need to.
Well,
I would say that we need to get on the right foot, and there's gonna be a lot of issues to be discussed. And I honestly would feel more comfortable if Paul were here. But that's my opinion.
Or comments?
I guess I would prefer that we have the workshop and we go through all the logistics, identify all the issues, and then succinctly communicate them to the attorney for him to weigh in.
Yes.
Would that work for you, Jerry? You want to- Okay, I guess this is down to a vote. At this workshop, do we want Paul Benedetti here?
Yes.
I think we need a motion on the floor
I'm making
before.
A motion. Do I need a second?
Second.
Oh, you made a motion? I'll second it.
Okay.
To have Paul
All
here.
those in favor of having Paul here,
Aye.
there's two. And all those opposed?
Aye.
Opposed.
Okay, well, we will have him on stand.
I would
Yeah.
like to bring up one item, okay? Due to the law, all right, one, an entity within the DDA, this is a for instance of why we need this, all right? Park State Bank being the entity that is the elector gets one vote. And that's either you or you, one or the other. And that's expected, that is a shall,
So that
not
would be a
in the law.
legal question.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's exactly it. And it's in a really odd place where it talks about that. It's in the definitions section of the DDA law.
Okay, then there's two things that I'm calling Paul about. Right, yeah, no, forget. Okay. Okay, so then we'll have at that workshop, we'll talk about bylaws, financials, legal questions. Okay, and if we come up with enough legal questions, we will just contact the attorney and get those questions answered and then address it at the next meeting. Is that good with everybody?
Yes.
Yeah.
What else do you want to talk about there? Do we want to get into anything? Just- Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I would suggest that, this is a new, relatively new board. We've got 4 new members here. Okay, and so we need to reach a consensus on the proposed direction and activities of this board. And whether or not those fall within the legal parameters of DDA law. All right, we want to remember that, attorneys are expensive, but lawsuits are more expensive.
Okay, so then we need to talk about the direction of this board so that we're all on the same track. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
maybe that would be the appropriate time for the second workshop where we have the city council. The reason why I bring this up, I was at the Historical Preservation Committee meeting yesterday. And there's a lot of thoughts in both Main Street and the Historic Preservation that kind of dovetail with some of the things that we have discussed in previous meetings. I told them as their liaison that I would bring it forward to this body. Can we have a joint workshop with City Council, DDA, Main Street, and Historic Preservation so that we can take some of the fragmentation of efforts and maybe get a cohesive agreement on what direction we want to go. So I'm presenting that on behalf of the Historic Preservation, a request.
Okay. Comment from the board. Jerry?
I think this is going to be an important meeting that we have, and I'd not like to dilute it. I would also like to add that we need to discuss.
Excuse me.
conflict of-
We're
we
having a
need
hard
to-
time hearing you.
We need to discuss conflict of interest on this and discuss it. So that
Okay,
we're all
that
on the
comes
same
under
page.
legal question.
Yeah, Jerry, this is a second workshop I'm talking about,
Yes.
not at this, the one we're scheduling for the 17th.
Okay.
We won't have time to do any more than
Correct.
what we've got listed here. So do you want to set up a time for a second workshop, or shall we just
That's why
get through this
So-
one and get through our August meeting and then approach that?
that will be fine, I'm sure.
Murph,
We also have the bylaws review.
yeah, that's the
And-
first one.
Okay. And then which one are we going to, so we're going to go through bylaws and DDA direction in the same meeting?
Well, let's try, read the bylaws, everybody read it before we go, because they're not very long and they're pretty, I think, good. I don't think we can
Okay.
change too much.
All
of
right.
it.
We'll
But
attempt.
everybody need to read that before we go to the workshop. Yes,
Mary Jo, as part of the basis of information on the bylaws, we might want to also review the state statute, because that's the governing legislation.
okay, so we'll do bylaws, state statute.
I would make an argument that we would need an attorney present for that because the most common defense I get is none of us are attorneys. We don't have the authority, the right, or the ability to interpret the law.
Can that be one of those things that we read and then question it and make that list of questions to the
Yeah.
attorney? And then we'll.
And that is,
Bringing down here, let's have enough to make it
okay.
worth the money we're spending to bring him down.
Yeah.
Well, having read it, the DDA, I mean, having read it thoroughly, and even in Paul's words, it's a very poorly and loosely written document.
Yes. Yes.
So
So,
the interpretation lands in ultimately with the judge.
right. So I'd like to not get too technical about it because of that information. And I think all the attorneys agree on that. That it's shady. Okay. Then we'll address the state statutes. If you can get a chance to read them before this workshop, please do. And at this workshop, there'll be no voting on anything. We don't vote at workshops. So anything we decide or think is important will have to come to our September meeting. Okay, any comments there? All right. Already did that. We're flying through this. This is awesome. Okay, general discussion. Arden, can we start with you? Do you have anything you want to say? How's business, or what do you want to do, or?
Well, we kind of covered the emails. I was curious as to who is the administrator of this site and who's controlling our website and our data.
I'll be handing that over to John because he is the secretary,
Okay,
and I
And
will
then-
sit down and work with him and show him how it all works. But if anybody wants,
Well, and then I'd like to say who we hire that will fit. under
that
their
person will
job
wind up being
description.
there. Okay. I think Tanner was paying for this before out of his own pocket. So we might have to look at that also. I'm gonna have to get that information from Tanner and find out if we need to fix that. But all persons who do not sit on this DDA board have had all permissions removed. Okay,
Okay, and I want to say too, that I have, here are this is the DDA and the minutes, the DDA books and the minutes. And I'm gonna give these to Sally. This is all a public record. So if anybody wants to check it out and put it on their, whatever they do with it, look at it on their computer, they can check it out with Sally. So she'll keep track of it.
No, with Suzanne.
City's record keeper. Record keeper is Suzanne Leclerc.
Okay, then as I'm giving you as our representative, and you can give it to Suzanne,
Yes,
okay? Because you're our
liaison.
liaison. Is that all, Lauren?
Yeah.
Oh, the other thing that we do is there are people that sign up that automatically get everything the board gets. Other than, you know, contract, but everyone is notified of the meetings and has, what is that called, Tanner? Public notice emails. And I don't know, Sally, is that part of what you're sending out? This is a separate thing, so we'll make sure whoever we hire has that, and those people get an email as well. Tony?
Yeah, so again, I'll go back to logistics. Since we are under the city's umbrella, I would suggest to save expense that we ask the city if they would be willing to issue each of us a city DDA website or email address. So we come under their umbrella. And I would also suggest that we hang the DDA pages off of the city website, so we save that expense. And also with the electronic records, ask the city if they would allow us to store all the electronic records off of a thumb drive into their electronic record system, because I think that would serve the public best. And then also with respect to legal, it's always best practice to frame the question first before you start spending money with the attorney. So I like the idea of getting the legal questions codified, including the one Mr. Murphy brought up, because I am curious, based on my reading, what that answer would be. And also an understanding that every attorney is different. And I would suggest that at the workshop, I would like to talk about Mr. Benedetti's employment in general. So.
Okay. In question 2, have we done, are we already through the city's website or on your website? Is
Well,
part of what
Well, we
Tony
are, we
said,
are, but what I'm suggesting is that we have a WPDA or whatever separate website, and I don't think there's a need for that. I think we can add some additional pages to the city site very easily. I think using their email makes it cleaner for this board and future boards, and the electronic records, rather than have them, you know, that's thumb drives aren't necessarily the most secure, and I think getting it into their electronic record system makes sense.
Okay, comment from Suzanne on that.
So as far as the website goes, you are already on the website. So if the public signs up for notifications, like every time an agenda is posted to the DDA website, if they signed up for that notification, they will get that. Just like some of you are signed up for council notifications. Anytime we put anything on the council website, you get that notification. I need to check with IT regarding the issuance of the emails. I am not capable of answering that question. I have to see what IT has to say about that. I know it costs us $5 a month per license that we have. And so I need to check with him and see how many licenses we have left and if that's a possibility, which I will do. And then third, storing your electronic records is not an issue for the city. We have plenty of space. We have an electronic storage system. We can do that. My question would be then if there is a records request, would Mr. John G be the person that would be answering the records request? In the past, anytime I had a records request, I would send it to Tanner and Tanner would answer it. Who would be the person that would answer the records request? I can store them, but I don't know what the information is in those records, and I would have to study them and learn them and all of that to be capable of answering those requests. So we need to figure that out, because that time will come when someone does do a records request for DDA records, and who that point person will be that I can send that request to.
Tony, would you be willing to do that? And John, would you mind if he helped you out by doing that? So you
Sure,
don't have it all.
That's fine.
Would
Thanks.
you do that?
Sure.
Answer any court request that we come through?
At least until we get the admin assistant, because if you, I mean, you looked at the records, I looked at the records, they're not in a very good state, the paper copy. Hopefully those might be in a little bit better, but all the papers over time, the folders are just all a mismatch.
Well,
It
they
would
probably
take-
got that way when we put it in the box.
Correct, and that's what I'm
So,
saying, it would
you
take a
know,
little
it's
while.
not-
Yeah.
Okay. Tony,
I would be
anything else?
happy to work with John to get that transitioned over.
So then my direction would be, if I do receive a core request for DDA records, to forward it to both of you, John and Tony.
Yes, please.
Yes, and I
Okay.
would ask to be kept in that loop.
Okay.
Okay, anything else, Tony? Rusty?
I brought up the two topics, the separate workshop with a broader thing and the actual, those were missing, so you've solved my two ones. Thank you.
Well, I have something. I want to thank John for the awesome job he did mowing. It looks great over there. I didn't realize how bad it was till it looked good. So you did a great job.
Thank you.
And I have asked if I would like to have the approval of the board for him to send an invoice in. He brought his tractor and he paid 2 men to help him. And he worked all day along with Robert. Robert Zulaga was out there with his.
Yeah, thanks, Robert.
Is helping too. And I would ask that it would be okay for him to send in an invoice for his expenses. And we are budgeted for that, so. Is there any problem with the board in doing that? No. Okay.
Thank
good,
you.
Jan. And again, thank you very much. The lower part hasn't been mowed, just tractor broke, but I don't know. It might be okay in the lower part till fall, but the grass, when it starts drying up in the grass,
I can come back in the
we
fall.
might need to do something.
I can come back in the fall. I'm just, my work schedule is too busy to take another day right now.
Sure.
I
Okay,
actually
well,
work
we'll
for a
address
living,
that
so
as it gets closer to fall. But thank you.
Yep.
once Again.
it's my
Really
pleasure.
do Appreciate that. And Jan, you got anything to say?
Yes, I do. I want to thank each one of you on the board for allowing me to serve this community. And I want you to know that I will be forwarding a letter to council. Effective Thursday, I will be resigning my position. The reason being, I have sold my building. I have closed my business. But Rusty, I have not moved to Maine, so please stop telling people that I've moved. I have not. I am still a Colorado resident. I have a Colorado driver's license. I am registered to vote in Colorado, and I still live there. I am here conducting some business. All of us go out of the state occasionally for something, and this is my turn. I never asked to be on this board. I was asked if I would be willing to serve, and I am willing to serve the community. But I have also said that when I don't feel that I am contributing anything, I would leave the board or committee that I was serving on because I was no longer serving. So my reason will be because I have sold my building and I have closed my business in the district. So I just want you to know that before I do that, but it will be effective on Thursday. If there's a need for me to continue until someone is appointed, I will be happy to do that, but my resignation will be effective Thursday.
Well, thank you, Jan. We're really sorry to lose you. I understand your position. You served us well, and we all thank you very much for that.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you again for allowing me to serve this community.
You bet. We appreciate your efforts.
Thank you.
Jerry?
Well, I wasn't gonna have anything to talk about it except after that. On a personal level, I'd like to thank Jan very much. She's operates a little differently than a lot of people, but she's always had this community best interest in her heart. And I, for one, am going to miss her, and I hope that she's successful here on out. But Jan, you've done a wonderful job for this community. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those words, Jerry.
Thank you, Jerry. Al?
Thank you, Jan. I know you devoted a great deal of attention and mental energy for the betterment of the DDA district and also our community. Thank you for all of your service.
Thank you, Al.
Anything else? Thank you, Al. John?
We were told a couple of times that the number, that the finances that we were given are not correct. Can we get an updated financial statement?
That's gonna come at the workshop. Murph has got that and he's working on it.
Okay,
And that'll be part of what we talk about there. And then if anybody's got questions, we can just all sit around and talk about it.
so it'll have the actual real numbers instead of the one that we have, because we don't really know what we're working with if we're going by the one that you gave us at the last meeting.
Okay. They'll have. it.
Okay.
Anything else? Tell them how excited you are to be on the DEU board and everything.
No, I just want to know more of my responsibilities for secretary, but I think that's coming. I learned a few more things today, so.
Sounds good. Murph?
John, welcome to the learning curve.
Yeah, right.
First off, Jan, thank you so much for your service to the EDA. Jerry couldn't have said it more succinctly. You have a different way of operating that's most refreshing to watch sometimes.
That's what keeps it fun, Murph.
Say again?
That's what keeps it fun.
Amen. Okay, so DDA property cleanup, I have a young man. All right. I had a young man show up at my business and he seemed a little socially awkward and a bit chatty, but and I hired him because everybody knows what it is to try and find help around here. So the next thing I find out, he is actually a special needs adult, a 24-year-old young man that was left by Pikes Peak Workforce in the care of another organization, and they dumped him at COVID. They were paying him cash and he was not eligible for any unemployment or anything. And fortunately, a woman took him in. But in the meantime, I am using him not only to wash dishes, but he and I go over once a week and picking up the trash on the DDA property. And he absolutely adores doing community service for the DDA. So keep in mind, I'm in touch with the Pikes Peak Workforce, the lady who actually takes care of special needs cases like that, or actually does karaoke for me. So we're working on getting him back into a program where we can find a suitable job. And speaking of the workforce, we have a lot of, well, there's over 60 positions up in Cripple Creek at one casino. We're beginning to move into extreme inflation. I didn't raise my prices since December, and now I'm looking at a 35% increase in my prices because labor has become so valuable. You cannot find laborers, and it's getting interesting here in the city. I mean, the Hungry Bear's closed until further notice.
They opened up yesterday.
Did they finally open up? They found enough help? Thank God. Okay. So if anybody sees anybody looking for jobs, please send them out to the hospitality industry people, or send them up to Cripple Creek. Or send them to the city if they have the skill sets. Be watching out for those workers, people, because we all need them.
John, you have one more thing? Go.
ahead.
Anyway, that pretty much takes care of what I had.
Do we have an official, like a Woodland Park packet, or for a Woodland Station, like something that represents the acreage and something that represents some of the pros and cons to the property that we can have? I have an architect that has a developer that's interested in knowing more information about it. Do we have something like that we have access to, aside from, I was given a little thing the first meeting, but that doesn't seem like something you can go to a builder with, or somebody
I would refer to Al on that because Al, you were working on, you were listing the property with a real estate agent. Some of that came up. Do you have anything that you could share with John on that property?
Or all of us, shouldn't we, I mean, isn't our goal to be reaching out to try to get that property developed? Shouldn't we have something, even the acreage? I asked, I think I was told 5 to 7 acres, or I don't know, and there's pros and cons. There's a, you know, an easement through there for water rights and, you know, a headway for the water. There's just certain things that we should have that a developer would need to know, that we should be able to approach them with.
At this time, John, we have not really entered into doing a good definition of that property. That's one of the things, you know, that we have talked about doing, and potentially defining the exterior property lines to know and define where there's other encroachments, define what the drainage watershed is so that we know how much drainage that must be taken care of. We've not spent the time nor the money to define that and a lot of other issues.
Well,
No,
And
I suggest that we need to.
I think that would be a good workshop
Not-
project.
A workshop project.
Yeah.
So you're
because-
saying that all of us here have that knowledge to put that
No.
together? I don't think that's correct. I think we need to hire
Through the
somebody.
city, we should have a lot of information on that, don't we?
You have a previous preliminary plat, which has been changed, the topography a little bit, but we have some data associated with the property. And I've handed that out to you guys many times.
So I think we do, we just need to just gather it up. And that would, that is part of the information with the new members of this board that we need to have. And work on putting together.
along with that, John, I've been a proponent too of having a professional individual on our staff to go through and define all of those parameters. But to date, we have not done that.
Which would come under
We've just been drifting, yeah,
executive director.
so. The executive director, talents of those sufficient to obtain all of that information, that would be a very important skill set that that person should have.
But we need to work through that. We're gonna do something with living spaces. Those questions need answers, don't you agree?
So we're just gonna put it off. So my question's still not answered. I'd like to have some direction, it's how many years has that thing been sitting there, that property been sitting there? I think we need to take, and I'm not saying that. Well, I guess I'm saying I think we need to take a little bit of a different approach and we need to be a little bit more proactive and we need to go after it.
And I
So we're gonna
can
put it off till next
I
meeting and
agree.
then next meeting.
John, I would make it, yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. John, I would suggest, let's take a look at the documentation that Sally has stated, because she has said she's got a lot. I thought I had seen just about everything, but perhaps there's more than what I've seen, more than what you've seen, and then we can come back perhaps at the workshop, and that would be a topic we could talk about a little bit more in detail. That's
Okay.
what I would offer up as a suggestion.
Murph and then Murph.
No, that might be one of the many reasons why we need an executive director. You have the time in the next couple of weeks to chase that down for us, so we have it?
I know I have a job. too.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So that might be a reason why we want an executive director. There was over $1 million spent on plans. Okay, and the city council has forbidden us from spending any money. So we have 3 things in business: good, fast, and expensive. Now pick 2 because we ain't getting number 3. That's the way it works. So it ain't gonna be good. If it's good, it ain't gonna be fast. If it's gonna be inexpensive.
John, I might share with you a couple of documents that I've put together that gives us a starting point on defining whole wide range of issues there. I've just been in the definition stage, not the action stage. We've not, as a board, went into the action stage, but that maybe give you a little more information as to what I see there as things that we need to address in order to come up with a piece of property that is marketable in our current economic times. One of the issues that I have come across in talking with professionals in the real estate industry, both residential and commercial, is that that's a small piece of property. There's a lot of infrastructure work that needs to be done, and being able to spread all of those costs over that small area is economically not very viable. So that's why I've been promoting that we go to a alternate marketing program rather than looking for a single master developer. I'd be happy to share all of those thoughts. I've sort of been a lone wolf on that for quite a while, but that's the stuff that I'd be happy to share with you.
I'd be interested in seeing it.
Yeah.
And we'll work through that because COVID really stopped everything for several months. And now we're back on fast track again. And we're going to-
And it may be rearing its ugly head again.
Okay. Anybody else, Tony?
To John's point, I will volunteer to at least gather data over the next couple of weeks so that we have that available to us to possibly put that kind of document together.
That would be
So I'll
good.
work with the city and some other parties that we know that were a part of it, like Bill Osbach. He's still around and he knows the Fountain Creek issues better than anyone. So I'll just gather data.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. Okay, yes.
Can I add, I forgot, because I was, listen, John and Robert, I stopped by when they were mowing, and that was a hard, hot day, and I didn't get to properly thank them for that. I think it was a huge undertaking that they did. Gentlemen, thank you.
Okay, and Robert, to you, and I really thank you for mowing, you know, after you're not even a part of the DDA anymore, and you still showed up and volunteered your time, and I have to tell you, we really do appreciate it, and we miss you being on the board. So
Thank
go
you, Mary
ahead.
Jo.
Anything? You got anything to say?
No, I'm glad to see you all up on the dais. I'm glad to see it being recorded. So kudos to, I think, Tony, are you the one who figured that out?
Just asked.
Yep, very good.
Okay. Thank you, Robert. Sally, do you have anything?
I wanted to share one commercial project that is submitted their site plan review, and that is for AJ's Pizzeria. They, AJ's owners have purchased the Pizza Hut property, so that has been vacant for a year or so. And we'll be doing a substantial remodel of that building and addition. So it's very exciting. David Langley has been the architect on that, and will be a nice upgrade to the corner of Grace Avenue and Highway 24.
Great.
So that's great.
Good news.
I also wanted to mention that since the beginning of the year, CDOT has had a Main Street Revitalization Grant Program. And our Main Street program is very interested in applying for funds. The real question is, what does it look like for revitalization in our downtown, and focusing on Bergstrom Park? So perhaps there's an opportunity with your upcoming workshops that we can drill down and discuss this, especially the joint workshop with Main Street Historic Preservation Council and the DDA. There's quite a bit. As you know, the depot, the Midland Terminal Depot, was moved to Bergstrom Park. when Memorial Park was remodeled, revitalized. And it's a very expensive remodel due to the asbestos abatement requirements. So we're hoping we might be able to roll that into this revitalization grant and some other ideas, including the interpretive panels for the cog car and other things. The goal of CDOT's grant is to provide for outdoor attractions and expand patios and walkability within your downtown area. So we'd like to brainstorm as a group, as a collaborative group, as to what might be the best approach for scoping an application to CDOT. And there is no particular deadline. They have a finite amount of money, but there's quite a bit there. So Robert heard the presentation yesterday at PPACG brief about these funds availability. So wanted to plant that seed with all of you, and hopefully we can get that on the agenda.
Well, that would be super. That would be great.
Whose agenda is that on, Sally? Is that on the city council's
Main
agenda?
Street
Main Street.
and the city, because the city has to be the applicant for this.
Great. Okay, Suzanne?
Thank you. I do have a couple of things. As DDA knows, we have a council meeting this Thursday evening, and there's a couple of items on the agenda that would be of interest to the DDA. The first thing is we have a work session beginning at 5 p.m. with CML, which is Colorado Municipal League. The executive director, Kevin Baumer, is coming down and he's doing a workshop that I think that the DDA could benefit from listening to. There are a lot of benefits that CML offers. Each and every one of you, as serving on the board of the DDA, is a member automatically of CML. So if you have the time, you might want to come and listen and see what kind of resources they offer. I know that some of you have attended the CML conference. There's one coming up in September. There might be items on there that might be of interest to the DDA, but you're welcome to attend that work session, which is Thursday night at 5 p.m. Second,
Will that be in this room? or
yes,
will it be
ma'am.
upstairs?
It'll be in this room.
Okay.
Yes. Second, because I do not have an official resignation from Jan Wilson yet, to let the DDA know that we do have a public hearing scheduled for 6:15 p.m. on that same evening, August 5th, for a discussion of the removal of Jan Wilson as a DDA member. So if I get that resignation letter prior to that council meeting, I can cancel that public hearing. Otherwise, if that public hearing is still held, DDA members may be interested in attending that. And third, if Ms. Wilson does submit her letter of resignation, then I would need direction from DDA. Are we advertising? Would you like an advertisement to go out for the position for DDA for Jan's opening? So once we get that resignation, think about that as to whether you want that to be advertised. And then fourth, just want to announce for those of you that don't know, we have hired our finance director, and he begins on August 16th, and he will be a great resource to you on the DDA to help you with financials and different things, getting things straightened out for everybody there. He will be working from Florida remotely for a few weeks until he gets himself and his family moved here. So that's all I have. Any questions?
Okay. No.
Okay.
Do you have any questions? Kelly? Brooke? Tanner?
Thank you. Just a few things. I too would like to thank Jan Wilson for many years of volunteerism and service to the public. Jan, I have found you to be an inspiration to myself and others, and just want to thank you very much for that. I would also like to ask for consideration of a reimbursement of $15. Goes back to what Murph mentioned earlier about .easy. My personal credit card is on file there. I think still there's a .easy charge that hit my card yesterday, actually. So timing is very interesting. Anyway, I don't do any business with .easy other than for having paid for that website and public emails that you guys have. And I've always been reimbursed for that. So I wasn't paid for out of my pocket other than temporarily until reimbursement. $15 yesterday. And as far as Woodland Station, John, that 6.63 acres, you guys do have surveys. The property is defined. There are topos, there are soil studies, there are drainage studies, there are traffic studies. I mean, it goes on and on and on. I'm probably as familiar with the electronic records as anybody. And so if anyone would like a hand digging through any of that, I'm happy to help. If not, I understand that too, but I'm available. So just want to make that clear.
Thank you, Tanner.
Yeah, and as far as the Zoom and the record keeping and moving things, files over to the city, I think that's wonderful. But it's interesting that it just takes asking. We've talked about it over and over and asked and asked and asked. I remember when David Buttery made it clear that if the city weren't staffing the DDA, the city couldn't support it. So anyway, to see things turn around and start coming back is a good thing. Hope you guys can continue making progress there. Thanks for your service. That's all from me.
Thanks for your service. Norman, got anything? Okay,
Madam Chair,
yes,
one alibi, please. Tanner, would you please put in writing for the reimbursement? I believe, John, you also have something you need to be reimbursed for. And then I've got to go back and do some research. Apparently there was an invoice that was put out there some time back for the postcard deal, but I do not recall voting on that as a board to pay for that, but we can go back and research that. And I'll talk to you about that, Ms. Mary Jo, or we find out.
okay,
So we need for next meeting so we can vote on the reimbursements.
Okay.
Okay. I believe you put quite a bit of money into that tractor. Uh-huh. Thanks. That's all.
okay. Then we'll we'll add yours to John's, Tanner, and get that taken care of at the next September. Is that okay?
I don't have any invoice or paperwork for it. It just showed up on my credit card. Whoever
Tanner.
has access to .easy, you have to log in.
Tanner, I saw the invoice.
Okay, well, then for Tanner's, can we get a motion to pay his $15 invoice?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to pay the
Oh.
$15.
Second.
And Tony seconds it. Discussion, none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none. We'll get that sent through then.
Reimbursement for the tractor for mowing.
And then.
Can we just go ahead and do that right now?
I haven't turned in the
I
invoice
know we
yet.
don't know what the cost.
I can
is,
wait
so-
on that. It doesn't, I'm not heard from.
Did we
Mike.
already vote on that?
No.
Well, we voted to have it mowed, but we haven't voted on the price of what John's invoice is, so we probably legally should wait until the invoice is submitted and then approve it. Okay? Well, then I guess, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, meeting's adjourned.
Hey, Murph, Sally, are you planning to attend the Thursday?
I did.
It's awfully early for me, so I don't know that I can make that.
That's what I was gonna say.
That they are getting his grant.
Jan said her-
I'll be here for the DBA. I'll be here for the council meeting.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking about that.
We haven't said that.
Do that. We're going to
No.
discuss that.
We're gonna do it. We know that. We probably will decide on a date at the workshop that we have.
Well, I don't plan on being any vacation.
Okay.
I'm just looking for-
I use-
Today and tomorrow. we're not gonna be good.
I can't
Okay.
help it. $79.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
But then a mile from my house, we got stopped by state, by county, by city power.
Oh, no.
Who gave us a ticket?
Ow.
$75.
Okay.
17 something.
Oh, no.
Cash.
Hey, guys, I need,
So maybe I can reach out
I
to
need
you
the
Thursday
paperwork
and
on
see
the
what time I
application,
can carve
the
out.
newest
That'd be
one.
all right, Al?
Yeah, we need to
And,
just take this over to
If things go well, I
Do you
should be around.
guys have an application?